I just sent a message. Episode 250.
Yeah, it's a milestone, eh?
Wow. So I started numbering these with 4 digits, knowing that we would always get above 1,000. So we're a fourth of the way there.
So 4 digits? Because it would really be 10,000,
Well, this is
right?
episode 0250.
Yeah, but then it would go to 9999, right?
Well, what
999.
I mean is we'll get to episode 1000.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
Well, I mean, how long has it been? It's been, what, 5 or 6 years? Maybe 6, I don't know. And 250. So to get to 1,000, that's another 15, 20 years from now.
Exactly.
I don't know if we'll make it.
Technology be completely different than by then, probably.
You just plug an HDMI into the back of your neck.
Like the Matrix.
Well, he hasn't seen the message. So we'll do the normal thing and start until he comes. The thing about this road race, there's not a lot to talk about. I mean, not like a normal oval event.
Yeah, and when I watched it, they didn't seem like they really focused in on a lot of the wrecks and stuff that, not necessarily major wrecks, but people going way off track and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and then as a viewer trying to figure out what's going on, it made it pretty difficult, yeah.
And there was no doubt about who was going to win the thing once it started.
Yeah, unless he messed up. He led every lap, even when he pitted.
You should maybe bring up to Evan that they should put a bounty out on Bobby Zielinski on road courses.
They're done for the year, right? For the
Yeah.
road. Oh, I had a win in my sights today.
Oh, good job.
Hello.
Yeah, the set was actually good. I mean, I don't know what people were saying, but it was good. I mean, I was leading laps. I was top 10.
Yeah, I think most of the trouble I was having yesterday was being caught on the wrong tire strategy.
That's what happened to me. I ended up 21st because I didn't have enough tires at the end.
I had too many tires at the end, but I snuck up. I just uploaded the telemetry to Morley though, to take a look at.
All right. Who else are we waiting for? Greg's coming.
Yeah, he's coming.
I haven't heard Tony yet.
Yeah, actually, I was just looking for a mic test.
And
Am I sounding all right?
yeah.
We have a mic here. Fortunately, we don't have a Craig.
And Evan.
Did you like that one, Tony?
Yeah, that one was pretty good. I'm using my wife's new headset, so I'm up on her computer tonight, so I just want to make sure it sounded okay.
We'll have to start without Evan. He hasn't seen the message, so I don't know. So as soon as Greg gets in, let's hit record and be ready.
Hey, David, did you want to do the story at the iRacers Lounge at Gmail story with Alex?
Well, yeah. I didn't see it on there. I must have overlooked it, or did you add it?
I added it late.
No.
Okay.
Okay. It's right after the Annie story. So you want to do both of them? Is that cool?
Yeah, I can. It doesn't matter if we go two in a row.
I was going to do
we
the
do it all the
Annie
time.
story.
Give the Annie story to Mike.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, we don't talk about all her videos, but I want to talk about this one.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to do 2 stories in a row, but again, Mike said he wants it, so I'm cool with that.
So I'll do intros, schoolyard setup,
Yep.
and then David, you're going right into the video member highlights.
Oh, I'm doing that one? Shit, I didn't watch it. I mean, I'll introduce it, but I didn't watch it. But that one
You'll probably
includes
watch
Annie.
it during
That one
edits.
includes Annie, doesn't it?
Yeah, and we'll that's just a mention of that. Yeah.
Cool.
All right, let's hit record.
I'll just mention it. Yeah, and Greg. Oh, there's Greg. Cool.
What up?
I will hit record last.
Hit record. We're rolling.
Greg, can you watch the chat?
Possibly. Yeah.
Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Brian McCubbin,
Hey, how's everybody doing this week?
David Hall,
Hello, hello.
go away, Greg Hectus,
Hey, everybody.
and Tony Groves.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hey, well, welcome, guys, for episode 250. Wow. And with
We
that,
have party hats. Do we get party hats and everything?
yeah, set off the fireworks.
I'll have to download. I'll have to download the little party streamer sound.
Woohoo! All right, 250. Now, I number the episodes with 4 digits, a 0250, always knowing we're going to eventually get to 1,000. But we were just doing some math, Brian, and that might be a long time from now.
Wait a minute. You guys were doing math?
Yeah, I guess 15 to 20 years it would take us to get to episode 1,000.
Well,
Oh man.
You know, it's 52 episodes a year, right? So 5 years to get to 500.
And then
I'll be
another 5
racing in
years,
the-
and another 5 years.
Really old
I don't even
bastards,
think to be.
like-
I don't even think there'll be podcasts by then. We'll be on to
I
some
wonder
new,
if Brian's
new crazy
rig will
thing.
be done by then.
All right, and with that, we're going right into stories, but stories are sponsored by Schoolyard Setups. Struggling to crawl in the top 10 in Road to Pro, always in the back of the Xfinity, or can't find that extra tenth to compete in the NIS? Visit schoolyardsetups.com to get race-ready setups for the A, B, and C each week. Enter referral code 207124 when you sign up to make sure that iRacers Lounge is the one that told you about it. Don't get bullied around the track again. Get your setups today at Schoolyard Setups. And I tell you what, I raced their setup today, and I was kicking butt, leading laps, running top 10, and very happy with it. So, yeah, good stuff. Check it out, guys.
So we kick off the news with member highlights, which is a video dropped by iRacing recently, and this one gets a special mention because it features one of our favorite members of the community, Annie from Snell Racing.
Yeah, there's a bunch of good videos in this one for sure.
Yeah, that was really good. What's the difference between these and the the iRacers top 10 list?
It's not a list.
They have so many they can make multiple things, I think. But yeah, this was a good video to watch for sure. 6 minutes long too. But you know, the usual close quarter racing, you know, coming to the line side by side for the win, and you know, edging by an inch in these open wheel cars. Really fun to watch. I think they're at Barber maybe, and what a race. And the Annie video, it showed her coming off the grid on a standing start where cars are going left and right and spinning in front of her, and she's like weaving and bobbing and getting through there. And of course, you can see the anxiety on her face, which makes it kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, she did a heck of a job getting through that. That was crazy. I don't even know how she saw those cars coming.
And then, of course, Bathurst with the supercars, going down the hill, trying to, side by side, going into that real, those S's that are real downhill, and they somehow don't touch.
That's that part of the track. You're going downhill. The cars are so heavy. You're basically riding the brake as you're going down, trying not to spin out, trying not to hit the wall. That track is just one of the most inhuman tracks there is.
It's not a passing zone. I don't.
No, it's not.
It's just not a passing zone. You basically try and get through there to set someone up for the big straightaway. You want to stay on someone's bumper, but if you can go side by side through there and not not collect the wall or something, good on you, because it's probably one of the quickest right lefts you get in a race.
Well, and that left hand, you're basically just kind of diving into a little corner, hoping the track will sling the car around.
My favorite is the Talladega one, of course. Douglas Newbigging, 4 wide finish and win for Douglas. And, it's your typical, race to the checker at Talladega and who can get to the line. And they're 4 and 5 wide, and he just barely edges them.
All right, guys. So our next story that's up is iRacing posted that there is a massive weekend of iRacing events on tap. So let's go through some of this stuff. This is all this weekend. The Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup All-Star Race is Saturday at 7:45. Their season just wrapped up. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. The Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge is going to be Sunday at 9 in the morning.
One thing, Brian, these were all last weekend, actually.
Oops. That was all last week.
Yeah, so it's just, they had a lot going on. I thought we would talk about it just a little bit about, how it lined up.
Okay, well, I'll go through what was last weekend then. That's no problem. They also had the Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup. They had the IRX All-Star Invitational, and we'll talk about that a little bit later too, because there were some stars in that race. The IRX World Championship next round was in that, and the IMSA Triple Crown Challenge was Sunday as well.
Yeah, I think it's been one of the busiest event weekends we've had, especially on the road side. And as long as I can remember, with that IMSA Triple Cup and so forth, and then all these other things going on, there's a lot going down. Of course, I worked and missed most of it, but I thought we'd mention it. And then, Tony, why don't you take over and tell us about who won that championship Super Cup?
Yeah. Absolutely. That would be Mr. Sebastian Job. He is the 2020 Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup champion. They really should do something about making these things a little shorter. But the title was sealed up with 10 minutes to go in Heat 1 when his closest competitor, Josh Rogers, was spun in the S's at Monza, officially putting him out of the reach of your newly crowned Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup champion. Man, try to get that out in one breath. Yeah, this I guess kicks off our topics of the big roadside weekend last weekend.
Well, and the thing is Josh Rogers in that race, he had to win pretty much everything for it to do anything for the championship hopes at all. But all Sebastian had to do was just stay with him, and he was right behind Josh when all that incident went on, and you kind of felt with it. I would have liked to seen it come down to the last, because it was in one of the heat races. It would have been nice to see it come down to the last actual race, see them get to do it. But he wrapped it up pretty early in that event and was able to just race, I guess, take some weight off his shoulders.
Yeah, the incident with Josh Rogers that really kind of took him out of the running. I got a replay of it up on my screen, but basically they just stacked up and going into the corner, and he kind of ran into the car in front of him. The car behind him ran into him, and he got spun as a result and lost a lot of all that track position, and that was all it took. All right, well, congratulations to Sebastian Job. We're going to try to get him on after the Coke series is over. But until then, we'll be talking to Evan Pasoko. Hey, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys. As usual, it's good to be back.
Well, absolutely, and let's talk a little road racing. We kind of have a theme going this week. We just talked about all the road course events happening over the last weekend, but then wraps up on Tuesday with you guys at the Roval. First off, before the race, we had a pretty nice hype video that iRacing put out.
Yeah, and it was tricky to film that as well, because I think the initial plan was to get everybody together and do like a playoff media day, kind of like we did earlier this year in January. So it was a little bit of touch and go, trying to get all the Zoom stuff to work, and we were able to record that last week, so it was ready in time for this one, just to mix things up, and we'll be doing another similar versions of that over the course of this round, and then we'll do something special as well when we get to Homestead.
Okay. And then in qualifying is really the big story to set up this race. And as expected, Bobby Zalinski got the pole, Keegan Leahy on the outside. No surprises there, right?
No, we're not shocked. And, Bobby continues to impress. And this is one of those races where if you're fast in queue, you're fast in the race. We saw a lot going on kind of in the mid-pack areas, but we really didn't see any of that up front. Everybody but Conti, who had that issue, that started in the top 10, finished in the top 10. It was pretty consistent, and because of the race length for this one at 55 laps, there wasn't much kind of leeway on strategy either, so it just came down to who was the fastest, and Bobby was pretty resounding in getting a sixth one in a row that he's pretty untouchable, to be honest.
Mike, I was just going to say here, this race kind of resembled the Daytona race, just with the way the whole thing played out. It was, top 10 was the top 10, right?
Yeah, and the road, the Daytona road race was a little bit more of a question mark, which this race was last year, right? So I thought that if there was either of these races that was going to be kind of chaotic, it would have been the Daytona road run, but they were both pretty standard. No big bits of contact, notably in the championship when it comes to guys wrecking into each other or big chaotic moments like that. So it just goes to show you, I saw some of the telemetry stuff that some of the drivers were posting after the race. When you're doing 40 something hours of practice, I think it shows.
Yep. And not a lot of action like we usually see in the ovals, but we're going to go through what we did see. 41 got spun early in the bus stop. They got kind of stacked up. Not much damage there. Lap 7 or so, the top 3 were gapping everybody else, so they kind of separated themselves from the pack. Big championship implications, though, for a driver who likely had this race circled for a good result, and that's Mike Conti, who finished 37th tonight after a misshift on lap 10 and blows the engine. I wonder if he had a Fanatic shifter.
Well, that's the only big point of drama that we saw really all race. I mentioned that these guys were very disciplined. There weren't championship guys getting into other championship guys, but you blew it. And this kind of ties in with, we're talking about the use of, guys on the H pattern and using the sequentials. As if you're probably on the paddles, you're got a less likelihood of missing a shift. And I think he said it went out a second. I don't know if he missed it on the upshift to third, went back down to first, or if he just wasn't fully in second. But that's an incident. There's no recovering. The engine's gone. He's done. And I talked last time when we were kind of previewing this that Conti was kind of that second best, or in the top 3 or 5 of the road guys in this. So this was a race that he wasn't thinking that he had to survive through, right? He's like, I'm going to get a lot of good points, and I'm going to be great going to Kansas and Texas. And now he probably needs a win at 2 tracks that I don't think he's won at before.
Yeah, and little lull in the action there, and we end up talking to Clint Boyer, who joins in the podcast with you and Steve Letarte, and Steve kind of interviews Clint, asking him about his retirement and such forth. But first thing out of Clint's mouth is about the iRacing races. Hey, where's the rain?
Yeah, and we were joking, me and Steve even before the race. I'm like, Steve, the one thing that we're going to be good with is we don't have to worry about rain. And obviously that was the storyline for the weekend in the Cup race. I know it wasn't as crazy in the Cup, I guess, as we saw in Xfinity earlier on Saturday afternoon. But yeah, we don't have that. Maybe one day we'll be talking about Coke Series races in the rain, but that was not this time around. And I know that's a project. I don't know how that works in with it's an oval series and whatnot, rules wise and all that, as far as the eNASCAR is officially an oval series. So I don't know if that would even be something that would be a thing when we do get rain on the service. I think it's a when, not an if. But yeah, no rain, so that was a different factor for sure. I mean, that meant that there wasn't really any big question marks, right? I mean, nobody knew what was going to happen going into the Cup race. We had a pretty good idea of what we were going to see.
Yeah, and great to hear from Clint, who's going to end up on Fox, working with Steve, who's on NBC, and those guys working together. Pit stops were kind of next. Lap 25 starting as we were getting close to halfway. It didn't look like people were doing two-stop strategies based on the timing of that, but Leahy ends up pitting from third on lap 27, and then 28, a lot more pit, including Bobby, who somehow retains the lead throughout the cycle.
Yeah, it's funny he does that because we were kind of stressing, I don't think the undercut was really going to win somebody the race, but if it was, I've been stuck behind this guy, I can't pass him, then if I go for the undercut, I get in front of him and maybe I allow my speed. I don't think it was going to be the undercut that, gave me that much of a strategic advantage. I think it was just a track position thing because it's like 4 to 5 seconds of fall off, first lap to 25 or so lap old tires. But Bobby didn't seem rushed to get himself down to the pit road. He just kind of took it easy, did his thing, and stayed well in control. So I think on the stat sheet, I would have to double check. But normally you have guys like Bobby who dominate a race and then they don't technically lead all the laps because there's pit cycles, but I could be wrong, but I think he does end up leading all of them on the stat sheet.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And then lap 28, I noticed Clampett hit the wall pretty hard, but kept on going, kept his spots. But after that, we kind of get into the face cameras and seeing the concentration on the road course is a little different than what they look like on the oval.
Yeah, we were comparing it. Some guys were pretty laid back, talking to people. Other guys were really intense. Some guys were talking a lot. Some guys were not. And the biggest thing that I enjoyed, because we always compare the difference in the setups and kind of how the drivers look and whatnot. But my favorite part was kind of picking apart if they did any hardware changes. So swapping out the stock car wheel for a Formula wheel. Or using the paddles instead of the typical H pattern. So that was kind of my favorite thing to see who was mixing stuff up.
All right, lap 33 of 55. The running order then was Zielinski, Mullis, Leahy, Ottinger, Clampett, Lowe, Vincent, Kerwin, Schallner, Luza, Nichols, Lyon. The biggest mover so far was up 16 spots from P32. Up to 16th was Brandon Reynolds. Had a great run going.
He did. There was a couple of drivers that I was really impressed with. They're not going to be the names up in the top 10, whatever. But like Corey Vincent, I think he gets underrated a lot. He snuck in there and got a top 8 out of it after qualifying inside of the top 5. I know Ray Alfala didn't do great. He finished exactly where he started, 24th, but this was a race that he was really not looking forward to. So, those drivers who aren't the road guys but put in a lot of work and just kept the car clean, right? Didn't rack up the incident points, I think accomplished their mission. We had 36 of the 38 cars finish the race, and one of those that didn't was Brian Schoenberg, who had a connection issue. So really only Conti is the only guy that doesn't make it to the end, and it wasn't even a wreck. It was a blown engine. So very disciplined, and you could tell that these guys put the time in.
Okay, Michael Garigula, he brought a new sponsor, I noticed, Fistful Bourbon. Well, I haven't touched bourbon in 20 years, but that sure looked tasty over on the Jim Beaver esports car. But the next talk was Jimmy Mullis kind of comparing Bobby. It was in a class of his own, saying he's in the prototype and the rest of us are in the GT cars.
Yeah, that would have been timely for the Daytona road course race too, as well. And then I was able to tie in an IMSA joke with that one. I mean, like Bobby isn't just good in this Cup car. And typical wisdom would tell you, even if you are pretty good in a road car like he is on the sim, that's not necessarily going to translate speed in one of those cars into speed in a stock car on a road course, because they drive totally differently. But it's because he's so good at both that, I mean, he could win every single road race that he ever participates in for the next 4 years. Because it's not like, second place is 3 seconds off after the race or 4 seconds off after the race, where maybe if we ended up at a race like they used to be at Sonoma, where we could get varying pit strategies, if it was that close, we could say, well, somebody could pull the strategy card and get him. And he's so far out in a different zip code that it's to the point where you're not touching him unless he has a problem.
And he didn't. So, but as we get down to 10 to go, it was trouble for Malik Ray, who spun between turns 5 and 6. Nick Ottinger is tracking down Keegan Leahy for P3. But moving into 17th, Zach Novak has the most spots gained now. He started 34th, and that's a 17-spot advantage. So good run for Zach, too.
Yeah, he was doing a real good job. And obviously he's disappointed because he's not fighting for a championship like he was at this point last year. But he's still trying to stay above the top 20. So that's awfully critical for him. So, those are the guys that we don't talk that much about mid-pack of the road courses. But, I think for them just to not blow it is big, because now you get into 3 intermediate tracks to the end of the year where those guys can have a better expectation of what they can do and kind of control your own fate. You can't really blame it at this point on a Daytona or a Talladega, because you'll have 3 pretty standard racetracks to get an idea of what's going on.
Yeah, and then Ray Alfala, P24 at that point during the race. He was getting lapped by his teammate. He's going to have to pick up a lot on these ovals to make up for that. But then on the other hand, Ryan Luza, a good run for him. It was his best career road finish. He was looking at a P11 at that point.
And that's obviously a big up for Ryan, because, he's also somebody who's never been a huge fan, and he still loses positions. I mean, he's going to come out of this race, I think, as the first driver out of the top 4. I think he's like 2 points to Ottinger or something. Nick Ottinger also kind of gets under the radar when it comes to how consistent he is as a top 5, top 10 car on the road courses. But Luz is a guy who wasn't, expecting a lot out of this race, and I think to stay within 2 points of the cut line, I would say from his perspective, he's got to be thinking mission accomplished.
Yeah, and then Ray, on the other hand, he's probably sweating bullets.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't wreck out of the race, right? So it could always be worse. And he just tried to survive the race, and he did survive the race, but he's, closer to 20 points out. And I wouldn't put him in the category of needing a race win to move on yet. But if he's not a top 5 car at Kansas, then I'd say that he needs to do it at Texas.
There you go. And so, of course, Bobby Zalinski wins the race. He did not make any mistakes. And then it was Jimmy Mullis, Ottinger, and Leahy that round out the top 4. And then the points, of course, Michael Conti with the blown engine is dead last on the out of the playoff guys. And then Ray Alfala 7th, Garrett Lowe 6th, Michael Luza 5th, and the top 4 going from the top: Bobby, Keegan, Jimmy Mullis, and Nick Ottinger as they ran on track.
And now, you mentioned the road course guys, or not the road course, the playoff guys, sorry, for the road course race where they finished. If it wasn't for Conti having the problem, you'd basically have all your playoff guys in the top half of the field, which is what you expect, right? I mean, they're the fastest cars, but, most of them didn't have problems. So aside from Conti and aside from Ray, I mean, it is extremely tight. Obviously, Bobby's locked in, so 2 through 6, though, very tight. Ray and Conti are the guys that are going to have to be worried, but, I just was impressed on the road course where you typically see a little bit more separation, and maybe the playoff guys aren't necessarily the best 8 road racers in the series. I was just so impressed with how much time everybody put in. I mean, I mentioned some of the stuff that the guys were posting on social. Hours and hours of track time and hundreds of laps. And it's an interesting thing as well that we aren't really used to having to deal with at this time of year, guys, is that for the rest of this playoff, we're racing every single week. So they don't get, that 2-week buffer, a week off to get some extra test time in, or maybe to take a break before you kind of get into it. If you are in the championship 4, you are going to be tired at the end of this month with how much, seat time these guys are going to be putting in.
Yeah, I got to say I'm impressed with Leahy, Mullis, Ottinger, who stayed basically second, third, fourth right there the whole race, right on top of each other. They didn't let one of them get away from each other. But Bobby was out ahead, and but boy, they show, hey, they belong.
They did, and I not to say impressed again, but I think that it goes to show us that when we maybe think that we'll get to a race where we'll note it. I mean, there's faster guys, there's slower guys. That happens at the road races, that happens at the ovals. But we've had enough of a sample size this year where I think that everybody has had, top 15 car-ish at least one point this year. And, obviously now that we get back to the oval, we're going to be talking about, a tenth and a half a margin between the best car in queue, the slowest car in queue, and especially for the teams that have multiple drivers left, still in the playoff contention with the alliances behind the scenes and even the formal teams as well, they are not going to get much of a break. So, I know that visually, we don't see all that. Like, you can see on a cup race weekend where, we're interviewing somebody back at the shop on Wednesday on Race Hub, right? I mean, we don't have that kind of stuff to see it. But I think that these drivers have put more resources into this year than we've seen before, especially on the telemetry side.
You have to be competitive. So, the teams behind them, you got to remember there's more than the driver. There's a lot of people behind these people helping with the sets and all that. And it is pretty fun and fascinating to watch. So let's talk about next week. What do we expect to see there, and what do you think is going to happen?
Well, we're back, I don't want to say to normal, right? Because I feel like that discredits the track a little bit. But we're back to regularly scheduled programming at Kansas. And it's always been one of my favorite intermediate tracks because obviously the idea is you're probably going to have cars up against the wall or on the outside. And I think it's different. Even though Kansas, Texas, Homestead, they're all similar racetracks, on the stat sheet, they all drive very differently. But if you've had a good intermediate program, then you got to be feeling good going into this. But I can't call any of these intermediate races safe anymore because they're all plate races, right? I mean, it's going to be so easy to get into an issue. And I mentioned it, of course, aside from Conti, all our playoff guys went pretty much without any issues at the Roval. I have a feeling that at least one, if not two, of our playoff guys don't make it through the race Tuesday, and that's going to be a championship deciding factor. It could be one of the favorites.
Yeah, based on the NIS races at Kansas I've seen so far this week, there's definitely going to be some carnage. It'll be fun to watch, and we'll be there to watch it with you, Evan Pasoko. Thank you for coming on and talking Coke racing, and hey, we'll talk next week.
Yep, hope to catch you guys tuning in on Tuesday, and we'll chat again next time around.
All right, thank you. All right, that was the Coke race. Let's jump to Greg, the Rally All-Star Invitational.
Yeah, I didn't even get a chance to, I forgot that this was going on because I think it was being broadcasted around the same time we were racing, but I don't even have any of this stuff up here, Mike. I know it was won by, sorry, I forgot his name.
Well, we got Ron Capps in the race. They had Scott Speed, Travis Pastrana, and other IndyCar drivers. I don't know who won it. I didn't get to watch it either.
Yeah, I just happened to be at the time that I was racing something else, and I didn't see here. There's very vague on the highlight part here until the end. Doesn't show much in the highlights either.
Yeah, so then there's so that was the All-Star, and then they had the first round of the World Championship as well. And apparently one of the cars is still at a disadvantage. I mean, we talked a little bit to one of the drivers about that a couple weeks ago. But
the Subarus are still dominant in it anyways.
Right.
Because of they explained we had explained that it's just the fact that the way that they're doing the qualifying doesn't help the I guess I don't know if there's any focuses or Fords in it, but I know that it's the VWs that rest them, right?
Well, it's the Subaru and the VW, and according to Vicente, who we talked to last week, as well as Garrett, we talked to the week before, the VWs don't have the good qualifying speed, basically on clean dirt on a clean track. So they prefer a more worn out track.
And you could see that when you look at the lineup at the grid. All the Subarus are up front, the Volkswagens are in the back, and the other cars are up front.
So it was Yanni Alikainen that won the race, and I think he was the favorite in the first round too, of this, and he had an incident on his heat, and it just snowballed through the rest of the racing for him. But looks like he prevailed on this one.
All right, the action never stops. Brian, we got patch 3, season 4.
Yeah, that's right, Mike. So season 4, patch 3 has come out. Here's some of the release note. They've been working a little bit more on the racing UI, which is Mike's favorite topic. Apparently, they resolved an issue where clicking the back button was not returning to the previous screen. That's a big deal, I guess, right? Can't see what was going on before you were just there. Some team adjustments where the register button has been added to the registered team table of the team registration window for an event, so you can register directly from there. A couple other team issues. Some track map has been added for the Brazil Canadian Tire, the 24 hours at Le Mans track, Lime Rock and Lime Rock Park Legacy. Some dirt racing adjustments with the hard pan of the water. Now more uniform across the width of the entire track. And they've done some customization with the dirt hard pan on Knoxville, Limaland, and Volusia. Things been adjusted a little bit. Some rendering issues that they've had, where they fixed an issue where rendering lights, especially when there are many light sources at a night track, that could cause the whole sim to crash. So they fixed that. Added some visual improvements with the smoke effects, and carbon fiber and metal improved. They've tweaked the PA announcements and the environmental audio. So a bunch of tracks have had some tweaks to the environmental audio. And the cars have had a little bit of a change up.
On this one, the BMW balance of power update. David, I thought they told us they weren't going to tell us how much they were going to change them anymore, but now this one says they've reduced 1.5% of the rev range.
Generally in the sports cars, they tell you a lot of the specifics. They'll tell you like we're taking 5 kilograms away, or is it kilograms, or that's the right weight measurement, I think. They'll tell you how much weight they're taking away, or a lot of the balance of powers they'll adjust, because I mean, they're always playing. They'll always be playing catch up on balance of power.
What he's talking about, though, David, they said in an announcement, because every time somebody sees a number of what was taken away or given to something, people were complaining about it, so they were not going to disclose it so that people didn't know the exact amount, so that it was less controversial.
I guess I forgot.
I forgot as well.
On the track section, Crandon International Raceway, the pro truck track, they added a barrier on the inside of turn 2 because people were able to cut that corner. so they added a barrier to that. And if I'm not mistaken, I haven't raced Granted, I don't have that yet, but did they ever get the issue fixed with the land rush start? I don't think I've seen that in any of the updates yet.
I haven't yet either, so I don't know. I still don't have the track either.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing that in any of the updates that we've had. I've been looking for that specifically because I know that they had mentioned they're going to address that in a patch, but I haven't seen it yet.
All right. David, speaking of BMW,
Yeah, something we might see in a patch down the road someday or in a new release. There is the new real car, BMW M4 GT3. It's running in the German Tour Carring Champ, or a little dyslexia there, the German Touring Car Championship. And Robert Crisdell was the first in the forums to ask how long till it's in iRacing.
Hashtag soon.
I don't think it'll be an update. They'll have to scan that,
oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, they'll have to scan it, and iRacing recently said that they feel like they have enough GT3s, right? So I'd be surprised if they're really looking to add a new one anytime soon.
Well, it depends on what BMW wants too, you know.
Yeah, because BMW is trying to get more involved in iRacing, so maybe they want their latest and greatest out there.
Didn't they also just pull out of one of the road series? Was it? I don't remember which one it was. I know I think BMW is no longer in WEC over in the European side.
Could be. This is DTM, so.
What a title here, Tony, for a tweet, eh?
Yeah. Well, we win with this title. Good old Ty Majeski continued a great season with a win at Sunday's Oktoberfest 200 at La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway. Now, we should have dubbed this one Deja Vu because last year at the 50th running of this race, he also won. And actually, I was the one talking about it a year ago.
And what's special about this one, though, Tony, is the promoter offered a bonus to Ty Majeski, a challenge per se. If he could come from the back of the field and win, he accepted the challenge and did just that in a dominating fashion.
Well, no kidding. Okay, I didn't see that part, but I was scrolling through some of the comments and I saw some of the people commenting on it, saying that he drove from the back right to the front, and then on the Facebook page as well, there's a nice video of just like a one lap where Ty missed a wreck just beautifully, just cut right down and off he goes. But so that was the actual challenge, and Ty Majeski just took it and said thank you very much. He's sporting the iRacing colors as he usually does. That back with the black iRacing car.
Yeah, it's got the iRacing logo on the hood.
Yeah, this is one of my more favorite paints. I love it when they have the black base of the car. That iRacing logo just pops nicely on that hood.
How is this boy not in a Sprint car cup? I mean, Sprint Cup car. I don't know. I mean, he wins everything.
Yeah. Why doesn't he have a full-time ride at least, like in trucks or in Xfinity? It's really a damn shame because, put this guy into some half-decent equipment and, he's going to shine. He owns this series, basically, and he has, last year and quite possibly the year before. My memory doesn't go back that far, but he needs to, somebody needs to pick him up. I mean, money can't just be everything. Like this kid's got the skills. He's that political part of that sponsorship part there that bothers me because this guy is money.
Yeah, you'd think so. All right, let's keep moving. Quick hit here. Nick Leap put up in the forums that from the patch they had updated the IndyCar oval fixed setups, and there was a problem, and they had to roll those changes back, and now the set fails. And so if you need the set, you can actually download it in the forums, in the IndyCar forums. And then Greg, with the Roval in the rain with Clint Boyer and such this weekend, there was a lot of talk about rain.
Yeah, and we know that they're working to evolve the weather in iRacing every week, right? Or every time that they get a chance to. So, it's not a surprise that this might be coming, but it's just funny how they trolled everybody as we were watching the Xfinity race. iRacing put out a tweet, said, okay, yeah, maybe rain would be fun on iRacing, and then had the shrugging emoji there. But I think it would be good to add. I don't know how popular it would be. Would you think it'd be, maybe a one-time thing? Someone, it's a novelty thing. If you,
it has to be random.
Yeah, like, can you create it in any race, or are they only going to pick certain tracks that you're going to do? Like Evan was saying, do you think it because it locks it as an oval, would it even come to an oval?
No, you don't have it at an oval. It's just if there's a road course, there could be rain.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like these races are classed as ovals.
I see.
On a road course. That's why I'm saying we don't have a distinction of your road license to run the road courses to the oval races when you're when we're on NIS, it's always an oval, no matter even if you're on the road course or not, right?
Yeah, good point. What I like is iRacing saying it out loud and putting it in writing on the Twitter, but it says, okay, yeah, maybe rain would be fun on iRacing. So, it's on their radar if they're talking about it.
Well, and I think it's an easier thing to. It's probably one of the things that they could maybe focus on more right now because, they haven't been scanning a lot of stuff. This stuff could be something that they've been working on to fill up their time for updates too. It could be something that they add soon here because it, could come together faster than if they had to scan this track, and with all the pandemic and stuff like that, this might be something that's sooner than later. Who knows? And
the Xfinity race that you're talking about, it was like we should have had circus music playing in the background, because when the rain hit real hard, it was just amazing how many cars were going off into the tires and into the grass and all this carnage and stuff, and it just reminded me, man, if we had rain in iRacing, it would be just like that.
I think it would really be an awesome thing to have. I just don't think or know how we could do it properly to where, it would be fun. Like the Cup cars, guys can barely handle a lot of it as it is. If it went in rain, it would be all over the place. I'm sure it'd be a lot easier with the GT cars and things that have downforce, but I don't know if it would lose its magic real quickly.
Well, one of the things that made it so chaotic is that most of those guys don't have experience doing this. Once it becomes something they're used to, you're not going to have that severe of a problem.
I just hope it's right where you have rain tires on and you have to run offline or you ruin your tires, just like it, in real life. I hope it's like that.
Well, in the Cup race, they were having to hunt for the dry part and avoid the places where there was still a little bit of wet.
Yeah, and the tire wear on the Cup cars, on those rain tires was really quick when it started drying out. They're just ripping the tires right off of it. So it would have to be a whole new tire model.
Tire model.
Well, I think this tire model is, and I think this tire model is kind of, they're getting themselves set up for it. They have a tire model that's based on materials, and I do recall somebody talking about at some point the fact that dirt and the dynamic track of dirt is something that's moving them in that direction towards being able to do the rain.
Yep. Exciting times. Tony, what else is exciting?
Oh, well, that would be the Aftermath broadcast debut. Say what? Because, well, not quite sure how this one's going to go. I think for us, staying on point is going to be our biggest challenge. But anyways, Chris and I for sure, and I know Mr. Rochette, he's on call this weekend coming up. So if he doesn't have any propane or propane accessory issues, he'll be joining us, and we'll have a trifecta, doing our best trying to broadcast the Ladies of iRacing this Saturday at 9 p.m. They are doing a 50-lap race at Charlotte, and I know Chris and I both watched them go their last race, and a few of these ladies put on some solid racing. Now, there was a bunch of them that it was their first time ever out in a race, and that created some very interesting times as well. So now they all got a race underneath their belt. They should all be pros. Definitely going to be a lot of fun watching. It's going to be a lot of fun, trying to call this race. We'll see how it goes. It'll be rookies calling a rookie race. So it's going to be a fun time no matter which way you look at it. So come out, check it out, watch us either figure it out or completely bomb. Either way, we'll be having fun.
Hey Tony, how's their turnout been for them?
Their last race, I think they had 15 ladies show up. So they are growing.
That's just enough.
Yeah, Janice, which is their admin, she's been working hard, posting all over the place, trying to recruit ladies, and just kind of keeping an eye on the comments sections. So their various posts. There's certainly a lot of interest. I've been a huge proponent, encouraging these ladies to keep going, keep pushing. They will show up once they get more eyeballs on it, more people talking about it. But the very first race that they ever had together, I think there was about 6 of them. So the second race out, they more than doubled their numbers, and I really hope to see an upward trend, because you just listen to them on mic and stuff. They're out there just having an absolute blast. They're having so much fun, and there really is some good racing happening throughout that race. So I encourage everyone to check this out.
Now, something came to my mind as we're listening here, talking with you here, Tony. Have you ever seen the bingo card for phrases? I feel like we should create a bingo card for you, Chris, and Tony, and send it out to everybody. And everybody, as soon as they hear you say certain words, they get to check it off. And first one that tweets bingo from your phrases, it would be interesting to see.
I'm gonna take a shot every time.
The dead air would get us drunk real quick.
Now, you've got big shoes to fill. I was thinking, Bob Jenkins and Alan Bestwick, some of the best people have called racing. I tell you
Evan
what,
Pasoko.
Yeah, Evan Pasoko, you got some big shoes to fill. And I tell you what, calling a race on iRacing as a broadcaster is a blast. And when I first started iRacing, I did this for a while. I was calling races for All Pro Racing. I called some races for Max Speed, some of the broadcasters back then. And it was fun, and I was a natural, and that kind of led to this podcast stuff too. But it's fun. You're going to love it.
Well, Chris was actually the first one to approach me with this idea, and I'll be honest, at the start I was like, I'm not really all that interested. But as it started percolating and got thinking about it, I'm like, well, if Chris comes with a handful of stats, I can just kind of be the color guy because, you know, I've always professed that, you know, I am the dumbest NASCAR fan. I'm the dumbest racing fan. I love it. I get my stuff all mixed up. My stats are the crap. So, yes, we definitely have huge shoes to fill. We're certainly not going to try and be like an Evan Pasoko because, you know, there's just absolutely no way. You know, if we can kind of just stand on our feet, I'll be happy. But you know, we'll approach it like we do with the aftermath. We'll go out there and you know, do what we do, have some fun, and it'll be kind of nice. We'll be able to, you know, pull in some of the ladies, you know, interview them, talk with them, and yeah, I am excited. This is going to be a really good time, and I just hope we don't stink up the joint.
Yeah, and my tips for you is the live button. Make sure you're live, because lots of times you go back to look at a replay and you forget to go live because you're busy talking, and that's the biggest thing you'll screw up. You'll be watching a replay, calling replay instead of calling live. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is make sure your camera is really far away so you can see everything. Not like the blimp far away, but maybe like helicopter or something like that.
No, those are two very good tips. I've already written them down, and I could see me totally blowing that whole replay deal. I've done it trying to spot for guys before, and I definitely understand it, but thank you for the reminder, and let's try not make that silly mistake.
Hey, Tony, do these ladies have their own accounts, or are they sharing them with their spouses or anything?
I believe it's a mixture. I know a bunch of them do have their own, and then I know a bunch of them are running their significant others rings, because they may only do you know one of these races every now and again. So the goal hopefully is that you know, the ones that are sharing the account, we get them, you know, they get the bug, they get bitten, and you know, start doing like what Lisa did to me, like, hey, build me a rig, build me a computer, let's get this rocking and rolling.
Yeah, they want their own stats, you know.
Yeah, and this is a perfect place to, you know, to have them get that, you know, get that bug. It good group of ladies.
All right, I'm looking forward to watching that Saturday night. We're going to watch, and it's OBRL broadcast, right?
Yep. They're running the whole broadcast, so it's a bunch of us all coming together to you know, put the spotlight on these ladies.
All right, sounds like fun.
All right, guys. Fellow racer Nick Neban, Neban, he linked the series of YouTube videos that he made in the forums, where he goes into depths about how iRacing works. They're entitled "Understanding iRacing as a Collective," but there's his subjects are like understanding safety rating, understanding iRating, understanding championship points, and understanding netcode. So these are like 7 to 10 minute videos that he's created. They're similar to the one that iRacing put out, but he's actually gets into a little bit more detail. So he does a really good job. I watched a couple of them actually. A friend of mine who's pretty new to iRacing, he asked me how like the championship points work, you know, for the weekly official series. I was like, you know, I don't know. I don't know how they come up with the points, how they average. And he goes into that really well. I sent him a link. It really explains the championship points very well.
It does. So to answer your question that you just threw out there, in case people are wondering, so like if you run the NIS several times a week, it's going to take your best result, and that's the points you get for the week. But if you do more than 4, then it takes the average of your best 2 results. And then if you run even more, it takes the average of 3 and so forth.
Right, and he explains a little bit how to manipulate the points in your favor if you're trying to run for championship points. So it's a really good video on that kind of stuff.
Now, I
Very
only
deep.
watched the one, Brian, the SR. How is SR done? And he does a great job visually to explain how SR works. It's probably the best video I've seen on SR, where he lays out, visually, these are the laps you've completed as 3 different drivers, and he shows where they get incidents. And then as they complete more laps that are incident free, the incident laps fall out of the calculation, and he shows it in a very visual way that makes it easy to understand. So if you've ever struggled with how that works, go find Nick Neben's YouTube. He's got a great YouTube channel over there.
Yeah, I did see that, Mike, and it also shows you how the different license classes take longer sections of time for your scores to start dropping off. So it was really good. And if you're going on YouTube, it's spelled KNEEBON 5. So that's how you find him on YouTube and look up his videos.
Yeah, we get a lot of stuff for our show from Nick Neben. He's a spotter for Dylan Duval in the Coke series, but he also does videos every week of his racing in all the kinds of various series, and he puts up some good stuff. Speaking of YouTube videos, we're going to bring up one from Annie from Snail Racing. We talked about her a little bit earlier, but she put up her regular weekly video, and this time it was how their endurance race went at Petit Le Mans. And it was fascinating to see Annie talk about the pressure that's involved in a team event versus an individual event. And we've talked about it on this show before, basically not to be the guy who wrecks the car for the other guys. And she said she felt immense pressure because she knew her teammates had put in so many laps and hours of practice. She was the one who was starting the car, and she didn't want to be the one to mess it up. And she talked about the emotions and the feelings behind that, and only as a woman could, and of course conveys it wonderfully.
She speaks well about the approach you want to take anytime you're on that, about just keeping the car alive. I blew it at Bathurst, and I've been on the other side of it where I've been 2 laps away from getting in the car and have it wrecked. So I know what it's like to be on both sides of those coins. We had a really good race going at Road America a couple of weeks ago. Was it Road America? Yeah, it was Road America. Me and Douglas Cloud were running, and a GT3 a GTE just kind of pretended we weren't even on the track and just turned right into our left rear bumper. So that's the world of endurance racing, is you can spend all this time, especially for these special events, and there's no do-overs. There's no 3 chances like there is in an NIS race.
Yeah, she was all about, let's finish the race. That's the goal. We're not trying to win. We're just going to try to keep it on the pavement. And that's the kind of the mindset you got to take to make sure you don't wreck the car. Good job, Annie. Great video.
So literally right after finishing the NIS race last night, it timed out that there was 3 minutes till IMSA. So I was like, all right, I want to run an IMSA race. So I literally signed up. I jump in and I get contacted by a viewer or a listener, I guess. And he sent us a really cool message and emailed in a truck of his that he runs with the iRacers Lounge logo. And I'll read a little bit of the quote. Good day, David. Obviously, he's Australian. As discussed in the IMSA race, please find attached some pics of my iRanger Lounge podcasts. Truck that I've been running for the last 6 months. He says, keep up the amazing work. It's the #1 sim racing podcast in the world, hands down. Learned so much from you guys in the last year since joining the service. Keep safe, Alex Steblovics. One of the things he pointed out, which is kind of true for all of us. I know when I first started listening, I didn't know what 80/20 was. He mentioned that. And that's probably the most unique part of our show, is we talk so much more about hardware probably than any other shows out there. Though I love all the other shows that are on the subject too, but it's definitely our unique twist on things.
Yeah, thank you, Alex, for the kind comments. I mean, that's why we do this show is to for people like Alex out there who want to learn about what we do and they just want more information. And hey, we're here to talk about it. So.
So we got some IMSA and Le Mans Series license class updates. It was there's a Twitter put out saying starting next season in December. So I guess they're taking 3 of iRacing's most popular road series and moving them up one license division. So they will be an A license requirement come the new season.
Yeah, IMSA is now Class B, Le Mans is Class A, Endurance Le Mans Class A.
My first impression was I don't know if this is going to make that much of a difference because it's so easy with Fast Track to jump to Class B and Class A. But I did take a look and see how many people were in the last 3 IMSA races I ran. And there was about 4 or 5 Class Cs in my race, and I'm kind of mid-split. So I don't know if it'll make a big difference or not.
It won't. I don't know if it would. I mean, we were kind of talking about this, Greg, and on the oval side anyway, they're all A class, at least in our splits. I think I looked today in my NIS race, and there was one guy that had a B license out of the whole event.
I just think that what they're trying to do here is kind of just create a little bit of a tier system to separate some of, a lot of people when you first start on here, you want to build your way up, right? You want to start in a series, and we have it on the oval side, and they have it on the open wheel side. I don't know if they've ever really had it, the competition that they do right now on the sports car or prototype type area. So maybe it's just them realigning to have a different route.
My question is, why is IMSA B and Le Mans A? Does that mean Le Mans is better? I always saw them as equal.
Yeah, no, Le Mans runs a little longer, and it has the Prototype 1 and the Prototype 2, whereas IMSA is a little bit shorter and has just the Prototype 2 and the GT3 involved. So
okay,
it's,
well, that makes
it's
sense.
slightly smaller class cars.
I would class it as, Mike, it's like F1 to IndyCar. IMSA is like IndyCar, and F1 is Le Mans.
Right.
It's the prestige, right?
And then Endurance Le Mans.
Yeah, and the endurance, those are 6-hour races where you get the same. You and whatever teammates run on your team get the same number of points per race, so you can actually end up with different points than your teammate if y'all happen to pair up differently the next race. But yeah, those are big races, and again, you can run a Le Mans race or an IMSA race every 2 hours. The endurance events are it's like NIS. There's only 3 starts.
So no B license and run an endurance race. You got to be A.
I think that was already the case for the endurance.
Oh, okay.
But now Le Mans is also Class A, whereas regular Le Mans used to be Class B.
Do you think that'll affect the? Do you think they'll change the license, or the eligibility for the 24 hours and stuff like that, just so that would they get more people in it, or do they make people graduate probably beforehand to make sure they're up there?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if they thought about that.
I would think it would follow these rules, but I'm not sure.
They've always matched the requirements to run the matching series, right? So Le Mans required a Class B if you wanted to do the 24-hour. Daytona, which was based on IMSA, used to require the Class C or D 4.0, right? So historically, they've matched. That's going to be my guess if they follow the history.
So there'll be a lot of people scrambling near the big events to make sure they're up there, if that's the case.
Well,
if there's somebody who hasn't really been trying to pay attention to their license, like all you have to do to gain license is sacrifice iRating, ride in the back and survive a few races, and boom, you can fast track forward.
Right. Well, I was saying, somebody like me who I'm not a road course driver, but I might run the 24-hour of Daytona. Yeah, I might have a problem with that. If I don't have my A license, I got to figure out how to get it up.
Grab a Skippy for about 8 races, you'll be up there.
There's also, isn't the Indy Oval course, doesn't it give you actually road credit?
Yeah, but can you get Mike to stop racing cars? Back off. He'd see a chance to go for it, and he would.
Exactly. I'm there to win. That's the thing.
And there's another thing with road courses that you have to do. It's practice.
I get worse with practice.
Mike is the only one that'll ever say that.
You start finding more and more ways to screw up, huh?
I think it's more of a case of the harder you try, the worse you do,
I've proven it over and over again. But anyway, let's keep moving. This last one is a listener sent this one in.
Yeah, it's kind of a sad story here. So the Nixon Hope for a Cure Phillip Isle 400 race. Is it Yanni Rowe? I think it's Yanni Rowe is how the name's pronounced. He posted that Nixon is a 4-year-old, and he was diagnosed with the stage 4 high risk. Is it neuroblastoma? I'm guessing that's how it's pronounced.
Neuroblastoma.
Neuroblastoma, thank you. Cancer back in July of 2017. In March 2019, Nixon finished his treatment and was scanned and scanned and was clear. But back in September of 2019, he relapsed, and the family was told there's not much chances of survival weren't good. Nixon's only hope for the cure is to get him to Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York, and he needs to participate in a vaccine trial that fights this. The trial, of course, is 7 vaccines over 12 months. It's been ongoing for 10 years, but is not available from where he's from in Australia. So he's decided to run this race for him to raise money. And if you want to look it up on the forums page to how to sign up and everything, look up the title Nixon's Hope for a Cure Phillip Isle 400 race. It says the race is going to go on Sunday, November 1st. And it gives the details and everything in here, and how to sign up and what to do. Interesting. Hopefully they can get a bunch of people signed up to help them to help this kid out.
Yeah, you can run as team or solo. It's $10. All 100% of that money will go to the GoFundMe page to fund Nixon's trip to New York. And so go help this guy out, and let's raise some money. Sunday, November 1st. And to enter, you just need to go comment on the thread in the forums.
And I'm assuming that you could probably donate that without being in the race as well if you can't make it or something like that.
It's kind of confusing here at the bottom. I don't know if you guys saw. Is he saying that all the supercars are available for this race? It says the 2014 Legacy Ford and Honda V8 supercars, and then he says the Commodore and the Ford Mustang. So obviously it sounds like all 4 are available.
That's the way I'm reading it. So if you didn't get the new ones, or you want to run the old ones, I don't know.
I don't know if I don't know if there's a speed difference, or would they class them and make it as a class maybe? I don't know.
Well, looks like he's already got one guy signed up, so let's help him out, guys. Let's go into podcast housekeeping notes. I want to take a moment and do a big shout out to our very own Brian McCubbin on the great job he's been doing as content editor. It really has been a seamless transition as Brian took over editing for Tony and Chris, and I just wanted to take a moment and say Job well done. Good job, Ryan.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yep, and as you've seen, we've had a lot of stories from listeners, and we do love that content. Please email a link. That's all I need by email to iRacersLounge@gmail.com. Don't forget, we're on the Performance Motorsports Network. I tuned in. I think it was Sunday night at about 10:30 p.m. I spot check. I just go into it like a few times a week to see if it can hear our podcast, and sure enough, there was the iRacers Lounge, and I heard Adam Jocelyn in there telling us all about it. So pretty cool to hear us on that big streaming motorsports network. So check us out over there. And then next up, fantasy. Tony.
Start out this week with a big boom. I won the Roval.
Wow.
And yeah. I mean, quite frankly, if you didn't have Chase Elliott in your lineup, you were not paying attention. He should have been in everyone's lineup. He is basically becoming the road course king. And this happened to be one race that I wasn't able to watch. I had Thanksgiving going on that day. It's Thanksgiving this past weekend for us Canadians. So I was enjoying a turkey dinner while these guys were out, fighting for their seasons, trying to make it into the round of 8. So I was able to, increase my lead a little bit over second place, Mr. Resdog. We've got, where are we at? 5 races left. 5 races left. There's still time. I'm hanging on. I'm fighting to hold on to that top spot. But let me give a quick rundown of the top 10. We missed that last week there. There's been a little bit of movement, but first place is myself, TG1 Racing. Resdog still in second place. GI Jojo is in third place. Smilin' Ninja fourth. KBM in fifth, followed by Kerry Cial. Just in Time is in seventh place. Jedi McFly, Mr. Chris Scales. He's still hanging into the top 10. He's in 8th. Laird Racing, 9th place. And Romance Girl is new to the top 10. She made it up into the top 10 last week. And she's hanging on to that last spot. No more road courses. And we're back to 1.5 miles this weekend. It's Kansas, correct? I always get Kansas and Kentucky mixed up, but I'm pretty sure it's Kansas.
Kansas,
Yes.
Texas, Martinsville, Phoenix.
Yeah, Kansas. Fun track. Boyer is the one that I'm thinking about this weekend. I really want to play him. I really, I want to see him do so well, this weekend now that he's announced his retirement. This is his hometown track, and I think he typically struggles here, but this could be an interesting play. Yeah, it could be an interesting play. He might just have some fire under him this round.
To be honest, if that race would have stayed wet on the weekend, he might have been looking at a win at that Roval.
Oh, he was doing so well, and I'm sure you guys have seen the picture of him, just pretty much laid flat out after that race because his power steering went out, and he still had like 40 laps to go, I think it was, or 30 laps to go.
He actually crushed the pump off the front of the car.
That's right.
Yeah, got crumpled up on one of the restarts.
Yeah, and it's such a tough break. It's too bad because that he was doing well up to that point from what I hear and what I've been told.
When a car loses power steering, it's worse than a car that never had it to begin with.
Well, and you got to think it's almost coming down to the end of the race. He's already exerted enough energy. He's exerted a certain amount of energy, and all of a sudden now he's got to ramp it up probably tenfold to finish the next little while. And I don't know if you guys listened to Door Bumper Clear this week, but listening to Brett describe it over the radio, he was trying to do the math with the amount of laps that were left times the amount of time, and I think he said at one point it was like 45, 50 minutes he was going to have to drive without power steering.
Yeah, absolutely insane. 45, 50 minutes just Armstronging that car around the track. And, it's not just like a Sunday drive, around town. Yeah, that picture that they showed, I mean, that just tells you, Clint's not a slouch in the car. He's always, doing his thing and stuff, but I've never seen him gas like that. In fact, rarely do you see too many of them get, that gassed. Sometimes with heat and stuff like that, you'll see it, but heat was definitely not the issue this past weekend. But
yeah, anytime they get that bad off, it's because something went wrong. In this case, it was the power steering. If there's something wrong with their cool box or extra COs getting in their cabin, that'll get them in that kind of shape as well.
Yeah, well, if nothing else, it just gave one more story to come out of out of this past weekend, and there's lots to talk about, over the course of the whole weekend. So, yeah, we're hitting the end of this fantasy deal, end of the season. Things are tight. I got a little bit of a lead, but I am certainly not in the clear yet, not by any stretch. So, off to Kansas, and yeah, I guess we'll see where the chips lie.
Here's an interesting tidbit I just was looking up. Over the last 5 races at Kansas, they've had 5 different winners. And the 5 different winners are all still left in the chase.
Those are some interesting numbers.
So that would be Truex, Harvick, Elliott, Keselowski, and then Hamlin.
This might be a Kyle Busch weekend.
Jinx. All right.
Yeah, enough said right there.
All right, that'll conclude that. Let's move on to hardware software. David, what do you got?
Got an AMD Ryzen 9 59X. This processor is described as the world's best gaming processor, probably by AMD. In the forums, Philip Morton says that this chip will be a good bump from anything prior to 8th gen Intels, and that the 8th to 10th gen Intels will be roughly within the margin of this card. And I looked through some of the forum posts and the technical jargon as you get into the benchmarks. Just a little. I'm not familiar enough with the post to give you any more details other than it looks pretty good. The only thing I ever wonder is I'm always told that, especially with iRacing being mostly single core, that your raw clock speed is more important than how well the multi-core does.
Yep.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah.
It depends on what I've. The reason I went with a Ryzen is when you're a streamer for anything multitasking, video editing, things like that, you go with a Ryzen chipset. If you want to game and strictly just do that stuff where it's intensive for you needing that processor speed, you go with the Intel. It just depends on, you pick it out of what you're planning on doing, right?
Yeah, and then my understanding is this one is going to be comparable to the Intel as far as a single processor speed, but the big outstanding question is, can it be overclocked? Nobody really knows yet. They haven't got their hands on them, but that'll be the first thing, is can it be overclocked and by how much? And most people are thinking it can't. They've already pushed it to the limit.
The Intels, what are they on, the 10th generation? Or are they on, yeah, that would be their highest, right?
Yeah.
I guess we'll see what we find out later.
Yeah, we'll know soon enough once they get out there in the wild.
Well, if you're looking to find out some things, maybe some leagues, maybe you need some commentators, maybe you need some painters. Tom Bunty got a hold of us and let us know about his website. It's called GridFinder, gridfinder.com. And it does absolutely that. It is basically like a directory website. And it's not just for iRacing. Basically, pick your platform, pick your game slash simulator. What days you can race. Like he's got this thing dialed in pretty good. I was cruising around it, checking it out, and you pick the days, put all your stats in that you're looking for, and it will find the suitable league for you to join up with. Now, this is a fairly young site. He's kind of rebranded it. It used to be Rig Racers, and he added this section to that site and found it to be the most popular. So he's, go with the flow, right? And rebranded it, called it Grid Finder. And this is the main focus of the website now to do this. And this new rebranding has been live for about 2 to 3 weeks. So he's already up past 200 leagues. He's got a handful of commentators on there and a handful of painters. And as the word for this gets out, this is going to be an absolutely great tool for anybody looking for this kind of thing, or if you're a commentator, league painter, and want to get your name out there. It's just a well-built site, easy to use, easy on the eyes. And I've been talking with Tom Bunty, and he's just a good guy. We've had a great conversation over the last couple of days, just discussing his site and how he got it going. So check it out. That's grid-finder.com.
So I didn't do my normal beta UI rant after you showed this to me, Tony, because I was thinking this thing that Tom Bunty has come up with is exactly what they need in the new UI in the league section for how to find a league. I mean, Tom has got it dialed in. It's so sweet. I pick PC, iRacing, NASCAR Cup Car on a Thursday. And guess what? It finds me a league that runs the Cup Car on Thursday. And it's called the USRA, and it has the info button where I can click on and get that information about how to get involved in that league. It has more information. What is their season length? Do they run weekly? Do they have a broadcast? All that kind of stuff. So it's so hard on the regular website under iRacing or even in the new UI to try to find the league you're looking for. Hey, I'm available on these days, and this is the kind of racing I want to do. Boy, Tom has got it dialed in. I think iRacing needs to hire Tom Bunty and buy him out and incorporate this into the UI. Love it. Good job, Tom. Hopefully that helps. But check his website out if you're looking for a league. It's very helpful. And so I got the next one, and iRacing themselves got into some rig reviews this week, and they couldn't pass this one up. And I don't blame them, but they put up on their social media, Facebook and Twitter, a rig review of member Ben Johnson. He shared some pictures of his original do-it-yourself rig built from 1998 and then his current rig today. And boy, what a difference.
I just like the ingenuity back then and what, he's not even racing straight on to the monitor, so he's looking to his left while he's racing.
I think I did that when my first time my monitor was offset from the steering wheel. I didn't know any better.
I want to know at what point we thought about putting our computers in, we raced on desks forever. I remember racing on a desk for the longest time. At what point did it clue in, maybe we should attach it all in one, into a cockpit, into something? I just wonder at what point that started evolving.
So to describe his older cockpit, I mean, when you look at the wheel, it's basically some particle board as a base, and he's got the wheel just coming out of the center of the particle board that he's built there. And the wheel definitely looks like it's homemade. He's got some nice grip material on there and some buttons.
What? Sorry, Mike. I was gonna say. I think in the description they were saying that he made his partially from like a curtain rod.
It kind of looks like it. And then the pedals. I mean, I don't even know how to describe the pedals. The pedals are mounted to basically to another particle board, just a flat piece. And yeah, there's not much to them.
Well, okay, so these are like actual pedals out of a car. Like they're real pedals hooked up to potentiometers.
I see that.
And it's held up by old steel toolbox too.
He's just got the particle board leaning against the toolbox. I see that.
He needs some Crocs, is what he needs.
That's about the only thing he's missing.
Oh, okay, then what about his current day rig, though? He's got 80/20, he's got the wraparound seat, he's got the gloves, he's got the Cube Controls wheel, he's got a semi-cube wheelbase, he's got button boxes and triple monitors that are curved. I mean, he's got it all.
And no Crocs.
Looks like he runs the JRT dashboard there on that little extra mini monitor.
That's the one that you like, right?
Yeah, I actually float that exact one in my VR right on top of the steering wheel.
Yeah, really nice setup from Ben Johnson. If you were on the socials, you probably saw that this week.
Yeah, so our next story is that the FIA, which is the governing body of the F1 racing, has endorsed to be their official immersive haptic motion system. Box, the company, has officially been endorsed by the FIA. So, it's actuator type system with a 4 degree of freedom, and they've been around quite a while. D-Box has. They make really good products, and now they're the official motion of FIA. So that's pretty cool.
Is that why they cost so much?
I was going to ask if that's going to make the price go up, because now they're paying that licensing fee, just like, when you get the rim with the Porsche logo on it, it's that much more.
That or only F1 drivers can afford it.
Yeah, I would think the price would go up. Just like you said, I mean, it costs money to get that endorsement, I'm sure.
But on the second hand, that's advertisement money, so they should be bringing in more profits. So maybe those costs don't get passed along. Who knows?
I don't know, man. If you're looking at a actuator type system and you see the price of these D boxes, I mean, they start like around $11,000. So there's so many other options for a lot less than that. Really, that much? Can they really be that much better? We just saw Barry Rowland do a review on the Motion House actuator system that looked like a fantastic system, and that was $5,400
with huge travel.
Half the price, yeah. 6-inch travel on those actuators that Barry had on the Motion House. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how you can step up that high in price compared to some of your competitors. I don't understand it.
I'm wondering if this FIA stuff will also work with what the F1 stuff is doing in their own esports stuff, if they'll eventually combine them together. The FIA wouldn't put their name on something if there wasn't something extra they're getting out of it.
Maybe they're getting a sponsorship for one of the esports or something to go parallel.
I'm wondering if they use this system will be eventually the official system of some sort of E-Series.
Right.
Well, it's interesting you say that because remember the W Series that was done online recently to replace the actual European W Series. They actually required everybody to run the exact same hardware. They gave them a PC and a wheel, the whole 9 yards, so that everybody was using the exact same system while racing.
Well, it's kind of reminds me of what happens when they bring everybody into one of those events, right? They set up all the uniform, cockpits for everyone to race on, and that they do on the big stages. I mean, obviously they're not doing that right now because none of those events can happen now around the world. But
yeah, they just did this spread out all over Europe. I mean, they mailed the packages out to each driver.
They're probably.
I follow a couple of those drivers.
Are they test units or just letting them use it just for the series?
It was Thrustmaster, I believe, or was it Logitech? It was a lower end but quality piece. I'll have to go back and look at the Twitter feed, but it gave them all the same set. They had. I don't remember if there was a rig or they just sent them the wheel and the pedals and the computer.
Ooh.
I can't remember if the rigs were uniform, but the wheel and the PC were all uniform. Speaking of uniform, we got another thing posted by Marcelo Pagnan, and it's a review of DC Sim Racing's pedals in the iRacing forums. And yeah, it's interesting. Those do kind of look somewhat familiar because right down below, Mike, we also talk about the fact that they might be a copy.
Yeah, there's some people that were saying that perhaps these pedals are a rip-off of the Heiskenvelds. And I don't know. There's people on the forum saying, no, I mean, pedals are... They are they're very similar, and if you look closely, there are some design differences. So I think when you initially look at them, they might look like a copy, but if you look closely, they're not, apparently. But I haven't taken the time to really dissect it.
And the truth is, if you're using the same technology, other than aesthetic design, what's going to be different?
Yeah, I don't know.
These are the racing points of the F1 pedals right now, equivalent. People accusing of copycatting.
There you
go. David, since you like to skip here, I'm going to go back one here. The OPGT Lite rig here. We've got some images of their light version of it on their website. So if you go to overpower.gg.
Man, I love that color, Greg.
Oh, the yellow, that really pops. The red one looks not so bad as well. They have a bunch of different options here. So they have the one we're kind of looking at here is their GT Lite, which is their cheapest one at 399. Is that euros? I'm guessing that's euros. Yeah. But it's a really simple design. It kind of reminds me of. It's basically two sides that obviously are cut out to exact specifications from it's aluminum, I believe. Some of them are aluminum, it is aluminum assembly, but it's precision cut, and then it's got it just basically has two sides with the braces where the pedals sit and the adjustability parts in the center of it. It's kind of just a really simple thing. It doesn't come with a seat. From what I'm looking at here, anywhere I can't find one that comes with a seat, obviously. So you'd obviously have to invest in a seat for it. But it's definitely...
The seat base is pretty low compared to where the pedals are. It makes it look like a Formula seating position, but they do call it a GT in the product name. So I'm a little confused by that, but...
Yeah, I don't... It does... I have a feeling it's obviously the way it's sitting is hoping that you're going to have rails for the seat, so you're not an adjustable rail, maybe, not just sitting right down right on that platform.
There'll be a base under it or something, right?
But,
But if you go to the other rigs on their website, they have the Formula version, which is $599, and it has the seat built into the rig as part of it, not just a platform for the seat.
It kind of just uses like a little back padding, the way it's sitting, right?
Yeah, it doesn't look too comfortable, but yeah.
I definitely like the idea of it. I just don't know, like, it's obviously a different design than what we're used to, what we're seeing. It kind of reminds me of Fanatec's basic design for theirs as well. Fanatec has a design like this as well. It's not totally like it, but their rig kind of looks like that.
As I glance at it, I think that would be GT if you look at where the pedals are, because the pedals are going to be a little bit more even with where your hips are, which is the GT position. Whereas when you're in the Formula position, your pedals are almost up as high as your shoulders.
Oh, I see.
So it looks like they also on their website. Was quickly glancing at their website. They offer a bunch of different services. You can rent or purchase some of these things, these seats, for events. It looks like they do 3D printing, sim racing teaching. It looks like.
Yeah, Ali Pakala at your service for various performance-enhancing coaching programs.
That's not bad. Definitely a name in the in iRacing that you would recognize. They also have. Did you see the last one here, Mike? The customize. You can get your thing customized as well.
Oh, yeah, as far as the rig goes. Yeah, I just realized they're out of Finland, is where this company is from.
Could you imagine we could get an iRacers Lounge one?
That would look cool.
Or an Aftermath one? Or one on each side?
Make it look like my 87 paint job. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yep, that would look awesome.
Well, with the big sides on this, flat material, there's a lot you can do with the paint, with color and style.
I wonder what the extra cost is to wrap it compared to maybe getting it done afterwards once you get it here. Because being from where it is, the cost of shipping on that would not be cheap.
Okay, so we're going to go into our probably last hardware topic. Brian, let's talk motion.
Okay, guys. So if you go to the SFX 100 website, that project is taking a break. They announced on their website, please do not donate anymore. We need some time to reorganize due to commercial abuse. We'll be back soon. So OpenSFX is like an open project where they kind of it's not a company where you can buy a motion system. It's a project where they where they basically create one, and you can it'll tell you what pieces you need to buy to create it. It'll give you as far as what actuators you would need, what servos, what controllers. There's some 3D printing involved, so they would give you the printout for the 3D printed parts. So some companies are actual real companies, from what I understand, are basically just saying, well, if you come to us, we'll just give you all this stuff together. So they actually do sell the as a one solid piece, so you don't have to worry about 3D printing anything or anything like. I got a lot of this information from Steve Thompson from OBRL, him and Coco Puffs from the league. That's how they created their motion systems. That's Coco printed all the stuff, and he shared that information with Steve, and that's how they built their motion systems. So I talked to Steve about that for a while, and he said, if he had to do it again, he would just buy it all together, because it can really take a while to get some of these bearings to get to you. So, but he said he would do it if he did it again. He would just get it all bundled together. So that's what I did. I ordered one, and I just got it yesterday. And it looks really cool. It looks solid. So I'm going to be mounting that system over the next couple weeks as I tear apart my rig and rebuild it, basically. So, but apparently the open source projects from SFX 100, they don't like that they've done that, and they're kind of figuring out how they're going to deal with it at this point.
So wait a minute. You just told us you bought one of these?
No, I did buy an SFX 100 system, but from another company that basically has one already completed. I didn't have to worry about hunting parts or anything like that. So yeah, I got one.
Oh, awesome. Man, I can't believe it. When you showed us the pictures, so tell us exactly what you got in the package. You got the 4 actuators, and then a cable runs out of those, and then what?
Yeah, I got the 4 actuators. They came already, the screws and everything together. And then the servos are separate, but they just mount right on the top with a couple of bolts. And then there's a lot of wiring to the 4 different controllers. And then they all go to one central unit. It's called a Thanos controller. And that basically is the main controller of the whole deal. So, so that's all the different parts to it, basically.
And then software?
Software, there's a program, I forgot what it's called off the top of my head, but it's a software that calibrates them. It's not SimHub, but it's let me see, I'm looking it up.
But
now.
there's something that you have to install and run, right?
Yes, you do have to get your a program to run it.
It's so cool. So tell us a little bit more about your project. We know you're waiting for the goggles, and you're going to have to modify your rig to accept these actuators. So what does that all entail?
Well, the problem that I see is, first of all, I built a base. It's like about an 8-inch tall base that it's on, and it's not big enough for the actuator. So I got to expand it, probably about 10 inches wider to get the rig to fit on it with the actuators attached. And the other issue I have is I kind of hid all my wires by running them down the 8020 and through the bottom, hid all my wires underneath that base, or a good bit of them at least. Well, if the rig is going to be moving up and down, it's going to be rubbing on the holes that I have cut out in the base, so I don't want that. So I'm going to have to pull all the wires out from underneath the base and rewire everything up above, so I don't have that issue. So that's going to take a long time, taking all these wires apart, taking the rig off, rebuilding the base, and then reattaching everything with the new system. So, it's almost a blessing in disguise that I'm having issues with my headset, because I'd probably be down for a couple weeks just to do all that stuff anyway.
Well, unbelievable. You got that, man.
Only you would find an issue of that like that, Brian. You go out and keep spending money. Oh, my headset's down. I might as well go spend another couple $1,000.
Well, that's was actually I had actually spent before the headset went down. So it was a coincidence than anything.
Timing worked out well.
So I'm just looking on the bright side of having this thing broken.
Does your wife know about these?
Yes, she did. I didn't give her the full disclosure of all the costs of it, but I've been doing a lot of extra work on side projects that I've been getting some money for, that I reinvested in this.
There we go, Mike. We need her on as a guest one of these times.
No, she's not available. She's not available this time of day. She's really busy.
I can already see it now.
She goes to bed at 6:00.
The third member of our podcast family, iRacing Wives.
That would be awesome.
Well, good luck on the build. Keep us informed, and we'll follow your progress as you put that thing together. Now, it looked like from your pictures you got your rig out in the garage so you could work on it there.
It's in my basement. It's an unfinished basement, so I got kicked out of my second floor when I got there, so they started shaking the floor too bad. I was evicted from the second floor.
All right, but you got a spot, so good luck. All right, so that's hardware. We're going to jump into results. And results is sponsored by the Eucora 2020 Throwback Indy Series. I don't know if they ran. I think they run every 2 weeks.
They do, and I have. I'm sorry I didn't post the readout, but I've got it here in Discord if you'd like me to read it.
Yes.
Okay, so give me just a second. All right, we had a historic fight for Eucora in round 18 as we saw a classic IndyCar racing under the lights at the Daytona Road Course. Brian Beard secured the iRacers Lounge Pole Award with his inaugural, or at the inaugural, with a 132.470. There's a few missteps, and one moment there could have changed the entire complexion of the championship battle, but Brian Beard was able to remain composed and soldier on to the victory in the inaugural Grand Prix of Lake Lloyd, all on the heels of major surgery. Shall we dub him Iron Man? We believe so. He managed to stave off the assault by Takeshi Kita and Diego Asenos throughout the race and take the checkered flag. Championship leader Paul Jenkins was involved in the first lap incident, but battled incessantly to recover the fifth place finish. Diego Asenos moved up from a fifth place starting position to finish second, and Takeshi Kita surged ahead from eighth to finish in the third step of the podium. Round 19 will be Thursday, October 22nd at Chicagoland.
All right, and we'll get into NIS results. Finish up the Charlotte Roval. Looks like Friday Open. Tony Rochette, P16, was crap despite not spinning out and was slow. And then Sunday Open, David, you got top split there at P17.
Yeah, nothing much to say. I was slow. I think I was 1 or 2 laps down. No spins or anything, but that's where I was.
All right, take it. It's still points. And that's it for the Roval. We'll move on to Kansas. Wednesday Open. David, you got the best result, P3.
Absolutely stolen. I was mid-pack car, and I think most of my frustrations with the set were just because I was out of sequence on the tires. I didn't get to pit the second time around because iRacing told us almost too late that I needed to let somebody by. So I ended up going ahead and staying out and keeping the track position. Then we had the long run and struggled. Got a wave around and paid off with a caution right when the leaders were about to catch me. And then all of that bad luck with the tire strategy turned into good luck with the tire strategy. And avoiding a couple of accidents, including an almost really bad accident where we caught lap cars in a really bad place and they were running on the inside. Just got lucky, survived it all, had fresh tires and a taped up car, and was able to race up to P3. I was pressuring P2 and got just a little too loose on the last lap to push him. I don't think I would have gotten to P1.
All right, nice run, though. I ran and wrecked out in the second caution on lap 22. I couldn't miss it. I actually dove low and went fast to try to get by, but the car came back down the track, and I T-boned in, and it killed the motor. The front right wheel was up above the fender, like sticking up in the air. I mean, it was bad. I think it was 44 minutes of required and 4 optional, so yeah, I was done. And Greg, I think you got wrecked out as well early.
I was having major issues PC-wise last night, to the point where I am redoing the whole thing starting tomorrow night again. So I'm gonna wipe it all and start from scratch. I'm just not having any luck recently with frame rate problems and just getting things to run properly. So I'm just going to start from scratch and see from there. But I got wrecked because something happened with an update in Windows, and it turned off all my sound, and for some reason it screwed with the sound for my external spotter that I use for crew chief. And then I turned on the spotter in iRacing after I noticed it on the first caution, and I ended up going down the front stretch, was on the outside of a car, and all of a sudden it said 3 wide when I thought I was 2 wide, and I kind of net coded with a guy. I think it was more net code, maybe, I don't know. But we got in a wreck, and I just packed it in. I gotta start over here and start getting this thing to run better before I race more.
Reinstall Windows, huh?
Everything. I'm gonna restart from scratch.
Yeah, I just recently reinstalled, but that is the thing with Windows Update, is it jacks up all the sound settings every time.
Well, the other thing is I had set my. I was talking a couple weeks ago, I think, about setting my 5.1 in Windows around or setup. Well, it reverted it back to stereo sound. As soon as I went racing, I was like, this doesn't sound right.
It changes all the settings, so I don't have the 5.1, but I have some of my sounds going direct to my headphones. I have other sounds that are routed around so that they don't go onto the stream, and I have to redo that every time there's a Windows update.
Damn those Windows. Okay. I was bummed. I didn't get to finish or run much at all last night to see how the set was, but I did run earlier today in the Thursday Open P21. It was a crappy finish, but a great race for me. I actually led laps and was one of the fastest cars out there for sure. Ran top 10 basically most of the race. It was Marcelo, Jonathan Dickert, me, there was another guy. There's about 4 fast cars there that could have won. I think Dickert ended up winning. But it was the tire strategy that killed me. And so I did what I always do at the beginning of the race. I said, hey, Siri, what's 134 divided by 5? And it tells me 27 or something. And so I decide I'm going to get tires every 27 laps by average. And that's kind of how it played out. I think the first one was at 20, and then I went another 25, and then I got tires. So it was close to that pattern. And so as I approached the end of the race, my last set was taken with 30 to go on a caution. And that screwed me because 15 laps later, there was another caution, and about most of the drivers went and got their last set of tires, and I didn't have one. And guess what? I went from first to 21st in like no time at all. And so I just screwed myself on the tires. I should have stayed out early and saved one of those sets for later in the race, but I blew it. And but anyway, confidence was high because the set was good. We were fast. We were one of the fastest cars out there, and I was running with the top guys. So I'm very happy with how we ran, but I need some points. So really looking forward to tomorrow night. Where I'm going to put it all together. I'm going to make sure I don't pit early and save a set of tires for the end, because you need them at Kansas, because there were times when you'd get new tires on, you could drive it up through there. If those guys were just on even only 10 lap older tires, you go right by them. I mean, and it's fun as heck to drive, from 21st up to first.
Well, tires and the tire lottery or tire gamble is a part of the game now. It's that's what had me running in the back for most of that race, and then at the end, I still had a set of tires in the garage, and had slapped on new tires with 7 laps to go.
Well, initially, I think my plan was solid. Hey, I'll get tires every 27 laps. It'll work out perfect. But you really need to have a set for that late caution, don't you?
You should call it the green-white checker set.
It helps, but yeah, it definitely helps. But it just depends on how it all plays out. Green-white checker, you won't get enough positions. 8 to 10 laps to go. That's why I did go ahead and take the tires, because I was running, I don't know, 14th or 15th, and a combination of the wrecks and just being on the fresher tires, considering about 8 people stayed out to keep the track position, I think then there's enough time to make a difference. But I wouldn't do it with green, white, checkered. But it does come handy to have that last set left. But on the same token, if you have a big long green flag run in the middle, you can end up a lap down, which is what happened to me early. We had 2 cautions within 20 laps, and then it ran all the way to like lap 100.
Yeah, it's all you got to figure out that tire. So we're really gonna try hard tomorrow night not to screw that up. So the other thing about Kansas is, man, I was digging on the bottom. I mean, digging, like flying by these guys, like right down on the apron or near the apron, and if they go high at all. But Greg, you were warning me, man, I'm burning up my tires down on the bottom.
Well, it's contradicting what we've been the one thing about having the schoolyard setups and dealing with I was going to talk about this in the my final thoughts, but dealing with them as our sponsor, it's a friend of mine, and obviously Mike Morley. He's probably well known in the oval side for building sets. It's his site. It's his setups that he's been building. He's been working. Anything that we were kind of asked, we give him feedback and stuff, and it's been helping create sets for him. But he was warning us the way that set was going to work would work on the top for keeping the tire temperatures down.
Yeah, I think I was flying up there on the bottom, no problem, but then my tires, once I hit lap 16 or so, yeah, they were toast, and I was starting to fall back.
Yeah, the set was good. I was talking to Mike about it today. He asked for some feedback on it. I said, I can't give you anything. I don't even feel comfortable sitting in my rig, so I told him I couldn't give him any feedback on it. Nothing was working for me yesterday, so I can't say if it was my rig or it was the setup, right?
Well, after my run today, it wasn't the setup. I thought the set was great. Like I said, it was one of the fastest cars out there for sure.
Trust me, and we need, he's seen some traffic from us, but if you guys need set that's going to run good in the ovals, in any of the A, B, or C cars of the oval side, go to schoolyard setups and get signed up with them. You're not going to regret it. The sets are really, really well done, and he puts a lot of time into them.
He's also using me as a test dummy pretty closely.
Did he say the test part before it, though?
Okay, let's keep moving. David, you got to run the Triple Crown. I'm glad one of us did, and you got P7.
Hang on. I'm trying to recover from that one. Okay, I'm okay now. I feel better.
You want me to send some snow up to get that burn gone?
Y'all got snow? I haven't seen snow in like
not yet.
3 years. We get a snow here every 3 years or so. Depends. We get one like once in a winter. Several of us ran. I think I was the only one who actually finished. P7. I was in the third split, and interestingly enough, GSRC ended up covering our split instead of top split. And I know this because one of the guys is an Elite West teammate who did the coverage, and I ended up getting a lot of airtime because between 7th and 10th place, we were all running right in a pack for the whole race, and that was the leader was a lap ahead of almost the entire field. I think he lapped all but 5 cars, so they were covering us mostly. And I passed. I went from 10th to like 7th in the last 10 or 20 so laps, and was the highest finished Ferrari, and it was pretty neat. I got a lot of TV time, and that's definitely an ego boost. So P7 in third split.
All right.
I ran it too. I had a glitch in the race where that last chicane coming on the front stretch there, I bounced the curb and shot me a little bit closer to the wall, and as soon as it touched the wall sucked me in and I got stuck to it. It was kind of kind of glitched where I was just stuck in the wall by just touching it. So I don't know. I never did take a replay or anything of it. I didn't think of it till afterwards. I should have sent it in, but yeah, I got stuck in the wall and had to tow, and I had like 40 minutes of damage. There's no way that I could recover from it.
Okay, and then other official racing, I skipped the sprint car at Five Flags because I don't own the track this week. But I did run NASCAR Legends 87 car at Daytona and got a P16. Yuck. But I did run as high as third before being caught up in 2 wrecks near the end. And this was top split with the good guys, those guys that run this car all the time that are really fast. And I was holding my own up there in the top 5. I never got to the lead, but I felt good about the run I had. Now, I haven't had a chance to run it since. I do think I'm going to start one of these races tonight, though, and see if I can get a better result.
I did get to run the Yokora League race last week. However, I got the same bug where somehow my fuel got unchecked. I've rearranged my buttons on my steering wheel to just ensure that it's not me accidentally hitting it. And so far, so good.
And then last night, Adam and Tom Dreiling ran, what did they run? Super late model somewhere?
Nashville,
yeah. I don't know how they finished. It was some league. And then, Brian, you skipped the OBRL, Tony?
Yeah, I skipped it. I'm still not ready to do anything with my headset.
Yeah, I was trying to make it out there this past week, but I just got caught up in life. Some things happening outside of sim.
It happens. All right, let's jump into final thoughts. Brian McCubbin.
Okay, guys. First of all, I wanted to say that the program I was thinking of for the motions is called Sim Tools. It's a motion simulator software. So obviously I got a lot of work to do coming up, getting ready for this build. I did get my headset working enough to mess around in the Skippies last week, which is a really fun car to do. And I did a race at Watkins Glen, but it was kind of just like it was an open setup, and I was just using the baseline setup, so it wasn't anything to write home about. I think I got 8th out of like 15 or 20 cars, something like that. But it's a great series, and I'm looking forward to get back into everything. And I'm having OBR withdrawal.
I bet. Well, you're going to have motion soon, so looking forward to that. David Hall, final thought.
After having that decent finish in Kansas, as well as having a pretty good 2-week run in IMSA and ILMS, I had a little bit of a milestone of combined pavement I rating of 6,000. So I was pretty excited about that.
Is that a
was
thing?
6. Well, you can add it up. Yeah. In fact, the majors, you have to, if you apply for the majors, they determine whether you're going to be pro or sportsman based on your total I rating in the 2 divisions. So if you add up my oval and my road course, it was over 6,000, which was pretty exciting.
That is pretty exciting. I just added mine up. I'm a little above 3,700. So yeah, I need some work to catch you. Well done, Greg Hectus. Final thoughts.
I got not much. I'm not going to be racing probably much this week, and we'll see. I'm trying to get the PC ready for the Sunday Triple Crown to go to Laguna Seca. Hopefully I'll have everything back and set up. I'm going to focus a lot on it on tomorrow night and Saturday. Yeah.
Is it the Triple Crown every other week?
No, it's the 3 Sundays in a row here.
Oh, it is. Okay.
We have a set from, well, I'm sure there's other sets from where we got. We also have one from Schoolyard Setups as well for it. But yeah, definitely go and visit that site and get the setups for the oval cars. He wants to expand his site eventually, but he's still small. It's a small operation here, but he spends a lot of time creating these setups. So make sure you use that referral code of 207124 if you sign up. just to let them know that you heard it here from the Irish's Lounge. I think we're going to be making sure that it's in our description and everything every week too for the podcast, so that you can find it there. And yeah, I'm glad we have that sponsorship with Mike there, Mike Morley, and his setups.
All right, yeah, and I thought the set was great this week. Ever since we've been working with him, I've thought we've done really well. So thank you to Mike and Greg for working that out. Tony Groves, final thoughts. Looking forward to Saturday.
Yeah, my final thought's going to be all about this Saturday. Come listen to the Aftermath guys call the ladies race. The 9 o'clock Saturday night. Look for it on the OBRL streaming.
All right, I'm looking forward to watching that. That should be fun. All right, my final thoughts. Wow, it's nice to get a good run. Well, it wasn't a good run at Kansas, but not a good finish, but it was a good run. And now I just need to get that finish. And boy, we're really getting down to the end of the season here. We talked to Evan. We're on the week-to-week now with the Coke race as we go into the final stretch, and we only have a few races left with the NIS. And boy, it's winter. Got to start thinking about what we're going to run in the winter. I know Alan Pajari is going to do his winter league again. I don't know if I'm involved in that, but I do know one of our teammates, Adam Jocelyn, got an invite, he said, to that event. So looking forward to see what Alan's got in store for us, and looking forward to a great rest of the season. So with that, we'll see you on the track. Later.